to remain in that posture, we will take the national and AAU anthems respectively. Boys Brigade, please. Seated. On behalf of the Vice Chancellor of this university, Professor Olugbemi, I welcome all of us to this special event, the 40th inaugural lecture of Adekunle Ajashin University. Today's inaugural lecture is titled Nation Building in Nigeria, the Historical Intersections of Gender, Religion and Culture. And it will be delivered by a professor of Socio-Cultural History and Gender Studies, Victoria Kikelomo Olugbemi. Distinguished. Thank you. Distinguished principal officers of the university, deans of faculties, heads of departments and units, directors, professors, and other staffers of this university, and of course, our great students and our special guests. I'd like to welcome you to Adekunle Ajashin University for the 40th inaugural lecture of our university. Please put your hands together for the inaugural lecturer of today, Professor Kikelomo Olugbemi. At this juncture, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, I have the pleasure to bring to the microphone our amiable Vice Chancellor, Professor Olugbemi, for his opening remarks and present the inaugural lecturer to us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Deputy Vice Chancellors, Registrar, Bursar, University Librarian, Deans of Faculties, Directors of units, the inaugural lecturer, HOD International, Professor, Mrs. Victoria Kikelomo Olugbemi, other distinguished professors here seated, members of the family, inaugural lecturer, KBAC is here present, chiefs, members of staff at Adekunle University, greatest Nigerian students, all other guests of the university attending this 40th inaugural lecture. It is with immense pleasure and a deep sense of honor that I welcome very warmly all of our distinguished guests, colleagues, students, and friends of the university to the 40th inaugural lecture of Adekunle University, Akungba. The inaugural lecture remains one of the most revered traditions in academia, signifying the formal recognition of a professor's scholarly accomplishments and providing an opportunity to engage with their contributions to research, knowledge, and society at large. Today's lecture is particularly significant as we gather to celebrate the academic journey and outstanding achievements of Professor Kikelomo Olugbemi, a scholar in the field of socio-cultural history and gender studies. A lecture titled Nation Building in Nigeria, the historical intersections of gender, religion, and culture, promises to offer profound insights to some of the most pressing socio-political and cultural issues shaping our nation today. The importance of this lecture cannot be overstated. Professor Olugbemi's research has consistently pushed the boundaries of discourse on gender inclusion, cultural dynamics, and historical narratives. Her work has not only enriched academic scholarship, but has also informed policies and practices that promote gender equity, cultural awareness. Look forward to a thought-provoking session that will engage us all and inspire meaningful reflections. Professor Olugbemi's academic journey is a testament to resilience, passion, and a commitment to excellence. She began with a Nigeria Certificate in Education (NC) from the Federal College of Education, Okene, in 1984. She went on to earn Bachelor of Arts in Education and History from Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, in 1990. Master's degree in History and International Studies in 2004. And a Doctor of Philosophy, PhD, in the same field in 2015, both from Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba Akoko. Her professional career at Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba Akoko began on January 1st, 2001. The graduate assistant in the Department of History and International Studies. Through hard work and academic distinction, she rose steadily through the ranks and was promoted to the rank of professor in year 2021. Throughout her service to the university, Professor Olugbemi has held more than 30 different positions. These include serving as head of department, director of the University Advancement Office, and director of the Center for Gender Studies and Development, a position she currently holds. Notably, she also chaired the fundraising subcommittee for AAUA's 25th anniversary celebrations just last year. Her contributions to scholarship include co-authoring 3 books, editing 2, and publishing over 25 journal articles. I have a feeling that we are more than that in this hall. Yes, that is how it should be, please. She is actively involved in several professional associations, such as the National Association for the Promotion of Arts and Social Sciences, the Historical Society of Nigeria, University Women Initiatives of Nigeria, the National Association of Women in Academics, the American Studies Association of Nigeria, and the Association of Directors of Centers for Gender Studies in Nigeria. She has represented Nigeria and the university at various national and international academic fora, including conferences in Kenya and the Republic of Benin. Recognition of her service and excellence, Professor Olugbemi has received numerous awards, including the Award of Meritorious Service to OAU Ile-Ife and the Award of Excellence from WOSEM Youths, among others. As we prepare to listen to this much anticipated inaugural lecture, and encourage us all to reflect on Professor Olugbemi's exemplary academic journey. Without doubt, her dedication to gender advocacy and service to humanity is a source of inspiration to us all. In conclusion, I express my sincere appreciation to Professor Kikelomo Olugbemi for her tireless commitment to academic excellence and the advancement of our university. Ladies and gentlemen, present to you the 40th inaugural lecture and the lecturer, Professor Kikelomo Olugbemi. HOD International. Thank you very much.
Chancellor, members of the University Governing Council, Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, Registrar and Principals or Principal Officers, Dean of Postgraduate School, other distinguished deans and directors, heads of departments and units, erudite professors and other distinguished members of the Senate, members of staff and students of Adekunle Ajasin University, Akunba Akoko, Vice Chancellor, rectors, provost and principal officers from sister institutions here present, distinguished senators and honorable members of House of Representatives here present, other top government functionaries here present, members of my family in Nigeria and diaspora, my Lord spiritual and temporal, Your Royal Highness, distinguished guests, friends, and well-wishers, ladies and gentlemen of the press, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my Vice Chancellor, sir, it is with a great deep sense of gratitude and humility to the Almighty God, the all-knowing God, the God who can do all things, the God of all possibilities, the Ancient of Days, that I express my thanks for the honor and privilege to stand before this distinguished academic assembly this afternoon to present the 40th inaugural lecture of this great citadel of learning. Today's lecture is the 9th in the series from the Faculty of Arts and the second from the Department of History and International Studies. This inaugural lecture marks a significant milestone in my academic career as a professor and the first female lecturer and professor in the Department of History and International Studies. The delivery of this lecture, therefore, presents to me a golden opportunity to share my research efforts and contributions to the field of African history, particularly in the areas of gender, culture, and religion, and to discuss how these fundamental social phenomena can contribute to nation building, particularly in our dear country, Nigeria, which has been grappling with issues of underdevelopment for the past 65 years after independence. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to reflect briefly on the way God made my feet like hinds feet and set me upon my high places. Psalm 18:33. In the journey of my life into academia, I am a child of destiny, for my birth was foretold by the late Prophet Jeje Adekambi that I must be raised in my maternal family's house. By the providence of God, my father obeyed and relocated with my mother to a maternal home where I was born and raised inside the large Agunloye family compound in Idoani. After school, in the evening, the elderly women will gather all the children on the pavement outside the house for storytelling, what we call moonlight stories, sessions where we learn morals and the consequences of good and evil deeds. This upbringing inspired me to start my primary education at the age of 5 in 1961. As I refused to be left behind at home, while others in the household attended school. By the end of the first time of my primary one, I had taken first place, and I maintained that position throughout my primary school years. I was consistently a prize winner at the end of the session. My father, the late Chief Aribo of the Batimayi family in Idoani, began to arouse my interest in history after school during my secondary school days when we no longer went to the farm or school weekdays. He would share his life experiences, and he often spoke of my paternal grandfather as a long-distance trader and one of the pioneers who introduced the African church to the Awani quarters in Idoani during the schism that led to the formation of indigenous churches in Yoruba land. My father became my first mentor in the field of history and religion, as he was always encouraging me to record those stories in chronological order. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, it is apparent that my upbringing as exemplified in the early inculcation of Yoruba cultural values and my religious background profoundly influenced my career trajectory. This foundation has inspired my research in the field of social history with a focus on gender, culture, and religion, through which I have been able to uncover facts that can drive development to communities, states, and nations. But it also made me to have insight drawn from past events, present realities, and projection for the future. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, my upbringing in a devout Christian home, combined with my interactions with diverse individuals in the society, provided me with invaluable insights that have shaped my scholarship and give me first-hand experience related to the dynamics and complexities surrounding the intersections of gender, religion, and culture in African settings. In addition to the foregoing, I was introduced to reading newspaper early in life by my second mentor, my cousin, the late Mr. Ruben Adeyemi, a headmaster who regularly bought the Daily Times. This habit broadened my perspective and familiarized me with events beyond my immediate surroundings. Beyond my early upbringing, my late husband, Professor Olugbemi, being a political scientist, also played a significant role in shaping my passion for reading and my research interest in history. After graduating from the university in 1930, I established a soybean factory which produced an affordable source of protein for the teeming Nigeria rural populace. I also engaged in non-governmental activities through the Country Women Association of Nigeria, COWAN, and Better Life for Rural Women. This involvement afforded me the privilege of attending nearly all the preparatory meetings, both locally and internationally. That paved the way for the Beijing Conference in 1995. The conference led to the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, a convention for the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, CEDAW. Thus, it was during the Beijing Conference that my interest in gender studies was consummated. Furthermore, in 1997, I started organizing seminars on Christian living for Nigerian youth between the ages of 11 and 22, with the purpose of preparing them as future leaders of Nigeria, and continued this activity until 2001, when I secured an employment at this great citadel of learning as a graduate assistant in the Department of History and International Study. My appointment as a lecturer opened a new vista for the intellectual foundations already laid from my primary school days. I went ahead to earn MA and PhD History International Studies in 2004 and 2015. The value nature of historical knowledge for nation building. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, today, the study of history has put me in a good stead to appreciate that history is not mere storytelling or a passive record of past events, but rather a potent weapon for nation building and national development. Its knowledge and understanding shape the present and the future, influencing outcomes either positively or negatively, depending on how we interpret and apply the lessons gleaned from historical facts. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, my research indicates that history is the raw materials of facts presented by the historian for the user to put to good or ill use. History is a rich and dynamic field of study that encompasses nearly every aspect of human past and provides insights into a wide range of events. It spans numerous disciplines and is divided into many branches. History is therefore indispensable because it is rooted in facts and embodies the enduring power of truth, regardless of attempts by end users to manipulate it. Thank you. Undoubtedly, as postulated by various scholars, history serves as a strategic tool for reconciliation in divided societies, supporting the formulation of development policies that can revive indigenous knowledge, promote equitable governance, and restore economic power. Journey into social history in Nigeria. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the branch of history known as social history emerged in the mid-20th century. It focuses on the experiences, cultures, and structures of ordinary people in the past, rather than just focusing on elite figures or political events. It examines how social structures like class, gender, ethnicity, and family influence people's lives, and how these structures interact with each other. Interestingly, social history also encompasses women's history, urban history, labor history, family history, as well as the history of race and ethnicity. Social history focuses on the cultural norms of ordinary peoples, in contrast to colonial historiography, which essentially was written to justify the colonization and exploitation of colonized peoples. From my research into African traditional system of administration, AXA, it appears that many African leaders, both civilian and military, lack proper and not knowledgeable in the history of African traditional system. This is evident in how cultural diversity, particularly in the areas of religion, language, and other aspects of culture, has been manipulated, leading to a disconnect between traditional values and governance practices. They abandoned the African traditional system of administration, which fostered remarkable state formations, cohesion, and development that endured for centuries during the pre-colonial period. The abandonment prevented them from building upon a strong foundation and apply historical lessons to stabilize their own administrative system of governance. In all African states investigated, there was evidence of strong political structures and organization, robust economic system, organized military, strong social structures, and involvement of women, culture, and religion in the building of these empires and the African civilization, which preceded the Western civilization. Olugbemi, 2007. Interestingly, however, some of these great empires were reported to have cracked and collapsed, also primarily due to gender discrimination, bastardization of culture, and the misuse of religion as a state power. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, As a young historian, I started to explore colonial history to broaden my understanding of the causes of hydra-headed monster of underdevelopment in Africa, particularly our country, Nigeria. My interest stemmed from the realization that in the 1960s, China, Malaysia, and South Korea were on the same pedestal in terms of development with Nigeria. Olugbemi, 2005, posited that the ability of these countries to get the obnoxious policies against women repealed contributed very significantly to their rapid industrialization and nation building. Olugbemi 2004, Olugbemi 2021 reported that one of the basic reasons for Nigeria's underdevelopment was attributable to the pro-British social, political, and economic policies that were indiscriminately adopted by Nigeria immediately after independence. Since then, Nigeria has continued to perpetuate the marginalization of women in employment across the executive, legislative, and judicial branches, particularly in matters such as property inheritance, until recently. Even today, women in Nigeria are underrepresented in the policy formulation and decision-making processes, showing minimal progress from the conditions that existed during the colonial era. Women in post-colonial Nigeria still struggle to improve or overturn the colonial policies that marginalize them. Despite ongoing efforts to advance gender inclusion, men continue to dominate the policy and decision-making landscape in Nigeria. Table 1 showing male-dominated Senate, even up to this year. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, it is evident that successive administration in Nigeria from 1999 to date have consistently underrated and overlooked the contributory roles of pre-colonial Nigeria women in the building of the pre-colonial empires, with the exception of Obasanjo's civilian administration, which fulfilled the 33% affirmative action. All other administrations at the federal level have ignored the role of women in nation building. Olugbemi 2007, Olasupa Olugbemi Adeniran 2013A, Olugbemi and Olugbuyi 2013A. During Nigeria's Second Republic, between 1979 and 1983, the government introduced 6334 system of education to replace the existing 664. One unfortunate consequence of the new policy was that the teaching of history as a subject at the primary and secondary levels of education was replaced with social studies in the school curriculum. The implication of this policy was that Nigerian youth of primary and secondary age up to 2022, when it was reintroduced, has lost connection with their past. They had lost their self-identity and lacked knowledge of traditional leadership, principles and consciousness from which they could have picked some lessons to guide their future endeavors. Olugbemi 2021. Unfortunately today, many of these youths have been contesting elections at local, state, and national levels to become lawmakers in the three legislative arms of government, to make laws for Nigerians without knowing the history of their forebears and the nation for which they seek to create governing rules. The most painful aspect is that the third generation of women believe so much in their formal education and places a premium on their educational qualifications above African gender traditional virtues, local wisdom, and knowledge. Olugbemi 2015. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to briefly state that the political system of the pre-colonial kingdom of the old Oyo Empire, the Benin Kingdom, the Kane Borno Empire, the Igbo Confederacies, the Zazzau Kingdom were comprised of men and women without discrimination. Both genders led their kingdom to war front, defended and saved their kingdom successfully without discrimination, and not for personal aggrandizement. For example, Princess Omosa led Ibadan to war to repel attacks from the Ijebus. Queen Amina of Zazzau went to the war front and built walls to protect her kingdom. Oba Kukuku founded Ondo town. Queen Eyaro reigned as king in Akure, Olugbemi 2004. In Kane Borno, we have the Maigara, the Queen Mother, who wielded great influence on the mind, the emperor. Other women across these empires headed groups of warriors and were the backbone to the warriors for their protection and the general interest of their empires and kingdoms. Olugbemi 2004, Olugbemi 2014A, Olugbemi 2007. Noted that any attempt to plan or even implement without seeking the full cooperation of women is doomed to failure and cannot be regarded as a serious attempt to move forward. Women also provided various services during warfare, such as supplying food to the warrior and maintaining vigilance at night while the warriors slept. They stood vigilance to signal to the warriors of any sign of approaching enemies. They kept watch over the warriors' charms, which must remain potent and active until victory was achieved. Women also ensure adherence to traditional culture and religious practices during the pre-colonial period, as it was believed that women, culture, and religion together served as agents of freedom, liberty, and development in society. Olugbemi 2014. Obviously, gender equality thrived in the pre-colonial period, as both men and women also participated in the political governance of their respective kingdoms. They also took part in traditional religious activities, particularly as priestesses and in passing down cultural practices such as proverbs, taboos, and festivals to future generations, which build cultural identity and consciousness. Consequently, gender, religious belief, and culture became strong forces in the construction and administration of empires. However, the success of the empire or kingdom and the strength of nation building depend on the active involvement of women in policy formulation and decision making. Gender balance, therefore, is essential for nation building if we consider the historical context of kingdoms and developed nations. Gender balancing and nation building in pre-colonial Nigeria. In the pre-colonial period, women in different parts of the present-day Nigeria consisted of various autonomous ethnic groups that built empires and kingdoms through the collaboration of male and female members who played assigned roles in the social, political, economic, and cultural dimensions of their various traditional society with a commitment to equity. Olugbemi 2007, Olugbemi and Olugbuyi 2013A. The implementation of these roles advocated minimal disparities, reflecting a balanced approach to social responsibilities, therefore contributing to the development of their empires and kingdoms. Olugbemi 2007. In Yoruba land, the home was the bedrock of the society, and it is believed that combined effort of both husband and wife build, quote and unquote, good home. This is similarly essential for the society and the kingdom. Consequently, the institution of marriage was used as a formidable foundation to prepare male and female community members for complementary roles in bravery, loyalty, beliefs, selflessness, and culture. Both males and females were regarded as the children of the community. Their upbringing was thus jointly supported by the home and the community through age grade system, festivals, arts, custom, and cultural practices to instill patriotism and uphold the ideas of the kingdom as they grow up. Olugbemi 2014, Olugbemi 2021A. In pre-colonial Nigeria, both genders participated in war and politics, engaging in trading activities and farming. Women also served and are associated with deities such as Oya and Ogun, as well as being the founders of empire among others. Olasupo, Olugbemi, and Adenira 2013b. Olugbemi 2004, Olugbemi 2005, Olugbemi 2014 concludes that gender balance in pre-colonial period depended on the capabilities of both male and female members of the community to contribute meaningfully to stability of the empire or kingdom, rather than on patriarchy or autocracy. The changing roles of traditional gender virtues. Gender differs from sex because it is social and cultural in nature rather than biological. In the context of this lecture, gender refers to the economic, social, cultural, and political attributes and opportunities associated with being male or female. Gender attributes characterize and encompass entirely the role that men and women play, as well as the expectation placed upon them, which vary widely across societies and change over time. Olugbemi 2022, Olugbemi and Osuji 2021. For instance, the pre-colonial period, strong emphasis was laid on the sanctity of the family, chastity, virginity, formal education, honesty, abhorrence of stealing, communal living, honesty, sanctity of life, known as home training in Yoruba land. Today, the emphasis has shifted to the accumulation of wealth as opposed to integrity, to Western education over informal education, and to the elimination of enemies, perceived enemies. Consequently, we see people at the lower rung of the ladder resorting to money rituals, kidnapping, internet fraud, and other illicit activities. Olugbemi 2020. After gender equality, African gender equality in the pre-colonial period refers to the equality of men and women in the roles assigned without bias to their biological differences. In Yoruba, some men and women were trained for such virtues as honesty, patriotism, and chastity. Thus, the Yoruba day says, "Ile Latin ko esho rode," meaning charities begin at home. Olugbemi 2013. In Yoruba traditional religion, gender equality is made manifest in the history of the origin of the Yoruba, which became the pillar of the society. According to the Holy Bible, the Christian religion portrays man and woman in the creation story as equal in the roles they play in the Garden of Eden, which is their world. Man is not complete without a woman. He cannot live alone. Olugbemi 2022, Olugbemi 2013. In the Islamic religion, the Quran and the Hadith emphasize gender equality by providing guidance, roles, rights, and responsibilities of men and women. Quran 49:13, Quran 4:1. In the traditional religion, gender equality is emphasized in the proverbs of Owu Kingdom in Yoruba land. Abímọ lówu, ó ní akọni tàbí abóni, èwo ni kì í ṣe ọmọ níbẹ̀. Johnson 1921, Olashupa Olugbemi and Adeniran 2012. Another Yoruba proverb that emphasizes gender equality says bí ọkùnrin bá rí ejò tí obìnrin bá pa kí ejò má ṣáà ti lọ ni. Kò sí ohun tí ọkùnrin lè ṣe tí obìnrin kò lè ṣe. It is evident from the three religions practiced in Nigeria that the purpose of existence for males and females was primarily to be equal partners, united in performing the roles assigned to them by their Creator for a peaceful and sustainable development in the world. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, Foucault's view regarding gender inequality as an object of power rather than biological sex is further buttressed in Olugbemi 2014b, who highlighted women's equality with men in territorial expansions, as evident in the empowerment of Olowo Rerengenjen by Queen Oroshen around the second half of the 15th century, and the loss of power by the Olowo when he betrayed Oroshen, Olugbemi 2014b. Likewise, the success of the Kiriji veteran Ogedengbe Agbogungboro depended on his wife, Salegan, otherwise and popularly referred to as Ogedengbe's talisman, performed money rituals for her husband before he went to battlefields every time, and was said to possess mystical powers which controlled the supernatural for his victory until the end of the war in 1893, Olugbemi 2014b. Princess Omosa, the daughter of Bashorun Ogunmola of Ibadan, took arms against the Ijebu Westerner attack to Ibadan, on Ibadan, and defeated them in the 19th century. Queen Moremi engaged in espionage to restore peace and freedom to Ile-Ife from the Ugbo invaders. Olugbemi 2014. Women founded and ruled towns. Evidence shows that in every Yoruba town, there's always a Yeoba, king's mother, and another powerful woman known as Olosi, who has the power of arrest over the king as check and balances to curtail the king from becoming tyrannical. Samuel Johnson 2001, Olugbemi 2021. Also, Shango was deified because of the wife's bravery. Olugbemi 2021. A lack of understanding of pre-colonial history has resulted in a misinterpretation of gender inequality, portraying women as weak, emotional, irrational, and incapable. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, part of the challenges of Nigeria's underdevelopment are primarily gender inequality, the replacement of African traditional culture with Western culture, and the manner in which we practice religion in Nigeria. We need to properly harness gender equality, culture, and religion, the contextualization of religion. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, religion in the context of this lecture is explained in terms of its effective power as an agent of freedom, liberty, and development of individuals, communities, states, and nations when harnessed properly. If not, religion can become a source of unrest, friction, and other development, as we are witnessing in Nigeria today. Religion has been interpreted and employed by the rulers of kingdoms, empires, and countries, either to build formidable empire or to destroy kingdoms. Religion fosters loyalty and solidarity, uniting people in geographical locations that enhance intergroup relations and trade across borders. In either case, religion has shown a significant role in the formation and downfall of kingdom and empires worldwide, depending on how its intrinsic values of communicating with the supreme being are implemented, whether rightly or wrongly. It is my belief that religion in its intrinsic values is concerned with the incessant quest of human beings to connect with the supreme beings or forces behind the evolution of the universe. In order to adjust to their environment, the humans have the knowledge of what to make them happy and develop in their environment. This was employed by Trump to win election in 2016 and 2014 in the United States of America. Thus, religion is interconnected with man, woman, God, and the environment, which is culture. Then what is culture? The term culture is a different concept to define, as it has over 164 definitions compiled by anthropologists in 1952. At the same time, the sociologists opine that culture consists of the values, beliefs, system of language, communication, and practices that people share in common, and that can be used to define them as a group. The take from the avalanche of definitions of culture is that culture is land, inherited, a social construct, and associated with social groups that can be gradually transformed, integrated, and interrelated, sociologically and psychologically constructed. Substitution of African traditional culture with Western culture. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, the arrival of Christian missionaries and explorers brought drastic change to the African traditional culture that have been gradually institutionalized and entrenched in the early times of migration and settlement. These missionaries and their writers, irrespective of their gender, use their cultural and religious standards to condemn African culture and religion as idolatry. Eurocentric colonial scholars wrote that Africans in quote were uncultured and incapable of knowing God. However, these claims have been refuted by Parinda in 1962, and other scholars have debunked the Eurocentric view that promotes the superiority of Western culture and the Christian religion over African culture and beliefs. However, many African leaders and elites have discarded some of the cherished components of African culture in favor of Western culture, as well as Islamic and Christian influences on religion. Olugbemi, 2020. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, Western culture and education were imparted to converts and the educated elite, who eventually formed the ruling classes in post-colonial African countries, especially Nigeria. These educated elites gradually discarded traditional values and social norms as marital chastity, virginity, the A-grade system festival, and ideologies, perceiving such values as inferior and uncivilized. Olugbemi, 2018. They started to live distinctive lives different from the existing communal living, where the child was seen as belonging to the community and was raised with high moral standards for the betterment of the community. In no time, the proverbs and values which instill children's sense of belonging to the community were virtually eroded. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, today, family values that are crucial to family identity and consciousness in relation to the nation have irrevocably broken down, according to historical record. Consequently, the nation has been grappling with individualist self-centeredness, the accumulation of wealth for personal gain, a lack of common goals, and class distinction that have replaced general welfare. As a result, Nigeria's greatest challenges today include insurgency, kidnapping, insecurity, and corruption, all of which have their roots in the erosion of traditional family values. Historical definition of culture from African perspectives. Traditional African definitions of culture during the pre-colonial period were rooted in oral traditions, storytellings, festivals, proverbs, and spirituality beliefs. Olugbemi 2021b. Contrary to European definitions, Olugbemi 2014, Olugbemi 2015, Olugbemi 2020, Olugbemi 2021 posits that African traditional definition of culture projects culture as a way of life that governs family structure and kinship, including the extended family system, respect for elders, communal responsibility through ancestral veneration, divination, as well as arts and crafts, agriculture, trades, taboos, and virginity. Olugbemi 2021 explained that from early childhood, girls and boys were trained in the customs and traditions of their community to become responsible members of the society. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, among African societies, culture promotes collective welfare over individual achievements through the kinship system. In BT 1980, certainly sum it up with the concept of Ubuntu, I am because you are, which emphasizes human disconnectedness and interdependence. Taking cue from the above definitions, it is clear that for culture to function sustainably and effectively, it must depend on religion and gender as pillars for building a strong and sustainable development and society. Ethnic languages hold intrinsic value as they reveal details of a particular culture and way of life. Today, however, many ethnic languages are on the brink of extinction due to a lack of a concerted effort to preserve them, forgetting that this helps in understanding Nigeria and its culture. Understanding the use and history of over 250 lesser spoken languages in Nigeria can truly provide insight into the country's history and self-identity. Nigeria has a vast linguistic melting pot with numerous languages, neglected the documentation of majority of Nigerian dialects. Olugbemi 2015 observed that Nigerian languages, which are supposed to be the hallmark of cultural identity, have been relegated and replaced by the English language, to the extent that many educated Nigerians cannot speak in their mother tongue, believing that Western religion, education, and civilization are superior to that of Africans. The challenges of underdevelopment in Nigeria. The challenges of underdevelopment of Africa can also be traced to the abandonment of traditional African values, as well as the disparity between male and female genders. Olugbemi 2020 notes that the Christian missionaries, who were the precursors of the British colonials' condemnation of the cultural practices they encountered in Yoruba land, destroyed many African institutions, such as institution of authorship, which is foundational to the family. After independence, one of the greatest challenges was that Nigerian ruling class, through the use of political power, relegated the exalted position of the traditional rulers to government appointees. The traditional system of succession to the throne was abandoned. In some instances, individuals lacking royal blood has been granted the staff of office to govern their native communities, often due to past influence and monetary inducement. Consequently, the once powerful monarchs, who rule with the backing of their ancestors, gender unequal numbers, and kingmakers, who were supposed to serve as check and balances on any potential abuse of power, subsequently lost their traditional divine power to government that prioritized the loyalty of monarchs over their supposed traditional authority and community. The monarchs are no more the Alasha Ekeji Orisha in the proper sense of it. In Africa, the culture became derailed, resonating with UNESCO definition that once culture is lost or derailed, the identity of that society is lost, along with its cohesion, patriotism, ethos, ethics, and ideology. the society will remain like a sailor without a compass. Apart from the British colonial legacy, the two Abrahamic religions, Islam and Christianity, also contributed significantly to the derailment of African culture, gender equality and religion. Olugbemi 2020. The impact of Christianity on Nigeria as a nation. The Christian religion, apart from playing a crucial role in the colonization of Africa, particularly Nigeria, through critical examination of its role before, during and after the colonial period, has evidently shaped Africa and Nigeria history until respite to the colonial fashioned Christianity came through a young lady, Miss Sophia Odulami, who became the architect of Pentecostal African churches, which spread across African continent and to the world today. She planted the seed of faith according to the biblical instruction as against the British colonial instruction. She was said to be the first person to reveal the use of rainwater for divine healing of the influenza when the orthodox medicine could not cure it in 1918. Olugbemi 2018, Olugbemi 2018b. The revelation of divine healing by Sophia, which was also strange to African traditional core religionists in the Sonyi around the Ijebu-Ode, led to the persecution and the subsequent founding of prayer band Faith Tabernacle, which spread from Ijebu-Ode to different parts of Yoruba land and to other parts of the world. These male and female evangelists and prophets later became the backbone of two new indigenous Christ Apostolic Church and the Apostolic Church with divine healing as a form of Pentecostal religion. They introduced a new Christian culture of fasting, prayer, and the use of water for healing. Thus, gender Pentecostalism religion and the new Christian culture challenge the status quo across Yoruba land today. Conclusion. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, distinguished members of the academia and policy makers at all levels of government here seated in this lecture have analyzed, explained, and presented the values and importance of history, as well as how different civilizations have utilized the subject to justify their rise and decline in building and damaging empires. Oyo Empire disintegrated through the introduction of Islamic religion, while Britain used Christianity and missionaries of male and female gender to rise to power. The revelation is a great lesson from history about the factors of intersection of gender, religion, and culture, which have contributed to the rise and fall of these empires. African civilization remains the most enduring in history. Therefore, African leaders and National Assembly should shift their focus from modeling their political system and European structures for suitable political system if we want Nigeria to become a developed nation. The traditional rulers, bearers of rural lineage, should be selected and installed into the throne in accordance with the established pre-colonial traditional custom and practices. Under no condition must they be regarded as government officials. The intersection of gender, religion, and culture should be harnessed to serve as agents of freedom, liberty, and a strong pillar for rebuilding Nigeria as a powerful global nation. Every Nigerian must take pride in their culture, break free from relentless pursuit of European goods and services, and reclaim their self-esteem, identity, and full pride in their heritage. Black is beautiful. Dr. Agri says, I am proud of my color. Whosoever is not proud of his or her color is not fit to live. What about you? Nigeria should make it a point of duty to ensure that their children are firmly rooted in their family history and traditional values, and must be encouraged to speak their dialects fluently. The federal government should commit a sizable portion of its gross domestic product, GDP, to between 25% and 30%, and empower women in rural areas to produce food on small, medium, and large scales. Deliberate efforts to be made to incorporate a system that enables women to participate in the mainstream of socio-economic and political activities from the grassroots to the national level through legislation. Through legislation. Through legislation. All levels of government must promote an active and visible policy of mainstreaming gender perspectives in all policies and programs. Train women who are the agents of nation building, and Nigeria should domesticate the Beijing Plan of Action on the elimination of forced discrimination against women to enable women to participate fully alongside men in policy and decision making. Sanctions against gender-based violence and sexual harassment should be properly implemented without favoritism to ensure peaceful, prosperous, and sustainable development, to enable their meaningful contributions to Nigeria's development. There must be a revival of the kinship system to strengthen family cohesion and social interaction, thereby restoring the Ubuntu ideology of patriotism, an ethos that embodies the principles of always being there for each other, and collective unity that emphasizes I am because you are. The achievement of women should be properly documented to encourage the upcoming girl child. Since Nigeria is a signatory to CEDAW, men at all levels should embrace women as equal partners, irrespective of religious affiliation. Many Nigerian festivals, such as those tracing sources of origin, upgrades of ages, and oral tradition about past rulers, should be reunited to help knit community members closely together. Traditional Christian and Islamic practitioner leaders should deeply study their respective religious beliefs, teachings, and doctrines, the Ifa Oracle, the Holy Bible, and the Quran, to develop true conviction rather than merely preaching and practicing indoctrinated messages to enhance peaceful coexistence in the country. The three religions in Nigeria must use their set to reconnect and to rebind women in their various areas of worship with the larger society to foster rapid economic development. Every historical site, art, and festival must be developed into museums for preservation and a story center to generate revenue. Finally, a nation that disregards its history risks repeating its mistake as highlighted in this lecture. Conversely, if history is employed as a tool to rebuild Nigeria by reclaiming indigenous governance, fostering gender inclusiveness, promoting religious tolerance, and enhancing synergy and mutual understanding, collective progress, and national identity, we surely create a more united, developed, and economically robust nation. A nation that empowers women, honors its culture, and opposes religion as a force for justice will not only develop, but also become a global power. Acknowledgement. My Vice Chancellor, sir, God has been most gracious to me from my conception. I give all glory, honor, adoration unto God Almighty for His grace, favor, and faithfulness upon my life. I acknowledge that my journey has unfolded according to His divine plan. I am grateful to God for everyone who has played one role or the other in my life, both positively and negatively, as they have all contributed to the fulfillment of God's purpose for my life. I am deeply grateful to my parents, the late Chief Benjamin Aribo and Mrs. Joan Aribo, for their unwavering love, care, and sacrifice that shaped my life journey. Despite my father's being advised against sending me to a higher institution due to my gender, both of them prioritized my education and my well-being over a life of luxury. I will forever cherish and appreciate them. May their soul rest in perfect peace. I also extend my heartfelt appreciation to my paternal families, the Aiwo, Omolugbo Aiwo lineage, and the Imana royal family of Idoani, including the dead and the living, for their unwavering love and support. I'm equally indebted to my maternal family in Akokwata, Idoani, for the proper upbringing, training, love, and care they provided me. May the love of Christ continue to deepen in the agape love in which we were all raised. My deep appreciation goes to my late husband's relations, the Odikoko family of Ishuaile, the entire royal family of Ishuakoko, particularly Kabiyesi Ọba Aláyélúwà Ọba Adéṣúnlóyè Ọ̀yọ́lọ́lá III, and the late Kabiyesi Ọba Adéṣúnlóyè Ọ̀yọ́lọ́lá II, who care for me like a daughter. To my wonderful and loving father and mother-in-law, late Adi Komolafe and late Princess Mabel Komolafe, one cannot fully express my gratitude. I use Chief Mrs. Funke Balogun Eti as a point of contact to others for standing by me. Our father of the house, the Olori Abi of the Olugbemi family, Dr. Bola Olugbemi, and his loving wife, Mrs. Omotayo Olugbemi, your dedication and commitment to our family are beyond words. I'm deeply grateful for your unwavering support. May God bless and reward all the Olugbemi. I cannot help but express my deep appreciation to all my outstanding teachers from my primary to tertiary institution as listed in the booklet. My profound gratitude goes to the management of this my great university, Adekunle Ajashi University Akungba Akoko, the Vice Chancellor, Professor Olugbenga Ige, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Administration, the Deputy Vice Chancellor Academics, the Registrar, the Bursar, and the University Librarian. I also thank management for the sent 2 letters of commendation given to me in recognition of my service to the university. I also appreciate the commitment of TED Fund to fostering excellence in tertiary institutions. You have shaped my career, and for this I will always be grateful. I am once again deeply grateful to my indefatigable Omoluabi Vice Chancellor, Professor Ige, for the trust you consistently placed in me through my appointments to various academic and administrative positions. Thank you, sir. My heartfelt appreciation also goes to our First Lady, Chief Mrs. Helen Ige, the wife of the Vice Chancellor, for your unwavering support. Thank you, ma, for always standing by me and my office. I am deeply appreciative of the confidence in my abilities by my former Vice Chancellor, Professor Ibekele Ajibefe, who gave me the first appointment to serve in dual capacity as the acting head of department and acting director for advancement office. I thank all the deans, directors, head of department, all professors, senate members, and all members of the university non-academic workforce. Thank you all. I use Dean, the present Dean, Professor Okurimeta, as a point of contact to appreciate all members of Faculty of Arts for the invaluable opportunities given to me to serve in various capacities. I am equally grateful for the 2 letters of commendation written to me in recognition of my contribution to the development of the faculty. My heartfelt appreciation is also extended to my departmental members and students for their invaluable contribution to my academic and administrative growth. The letter of commendation from the department motivated me to strive for excellence. I am using this occasion to pay special tribute to our family fathers, using Professor Edo as a point of contact. I also use Professor Fabo Ede, the current head of Department of Social International Studies, as a point of contact to express my appreciation to both the academic and non-academic of the department, as listed in the book. Let me also appreciate all members of staff who work with me at the Advancement Office, Women's Studies and Development Center, Center for Gender Studies and Development, thank you all for your support. I extend my deepest indebtedness to these exceptional mentors who have graciously introduced me to the global academic community, as stated in the booklet. I also appreciate Professor Kábíyèsí Kálásúyà Musayan, Professor Tope Akinawo, Nírètí Dúìlémi, and others as listed in the booklet. I am grateful to all those who read and edited this lecture in one way or the other, encouraged and supported me with the ideas and intellects during the preparation of this inaugural lecture. I thank you all. I wish to single Professors Are Olaniyan, Toyin Agwele, Olukoya Ogen, Oluyemisi Adebowale, Benson Ngboyin, and Dr. Adedamola Adetiba. May God continue to increase your knowledge. My heartfelt acknowledge and appreciation goes to NAWAS and Good Women Association of the university. May God bless you, and may He elevate you all into greater height. My spiritual mentorship, the spiritual mentorship I received from everyday morning devotion from Christ Apostolic Church, Òkè-Ìṣẹ́gun Ìdó-Àní, where I grew up, modeled my life and career in life. I extend my wholehearted gratitude to my church family members, pastors, prophets, and leaders at Ìdó-Àní, Ìṣùà, and Àkúrẹ́. I particularly appreciate the mentorship of my spiritual leader, late Apostle Timothy Oluwole Obadare, for his spiritual guidance and counsel that have assisted me to navigate life challenges and stay focused on God's purpose for my life. I am grateful for the fellowship, love, and spiritual wisdom that I've experienced within our church community. I thank Pastor Paul Obadare, who is the General Overseer of Wozen, Bishop Bada of Akoko Anglican Diocese, Venerable Adeleke of St. Patrick Church, Ishu Akoko, Pastor Adebite of the Apostolic Church, Lady Kinade Milua, members of CAC Òkè-Ìtura, Egbe Asegun, and members of Prayer for Nigeria. Thank you all. In love to my loving family members, particularly my daddy, he could not come here due to some slight he-head. Senator Bode Olajumoke, I use this opportunity to express my sincere gratitude for your unconditional love, support, and encouragement. My other relations on both sides of the family, late G. Batimeyin, the two late Kábíyèsís, Ọba Falade II, late Kábíyèsí Ọba Taiwo-Gboyè II, my late elder brother Ezekiel Alabi and his children, my elder sister, late Mrs. Laito Oshile, and husband, Shifalani Oshile, the Baale of Yaba, Lagos, and his children, my late junior sister, Mrs. Dupe Ologundudu, and children, all the family members as listed in the booklet. Your firm belief in me has been a source of motivation and strength. Your sacrifices, prayer, and guidance helped in shaping me into whom I am today. To all my loyal, dedicated friends, Mommy Olugbuyi, Mrs. Dupe Adebayo, Professor Grace Brown, Mrs. Kudrati Obayan, Professor Akifolarin, Mrs. Tayo Olajubutu, Professor M.B.I. Omoniyi, Mrs. Famakin from Okitipupa, and my political associate. I especially appreciate the two lecturers who mentored and stood by me and my children through thick and thin of our lives. Professor Tunde Babawale, he was not able to attend due to exigency of office today. And late Mr. Tunde Odashola, I am very grateful for guidance, counseling, and your support. God will always be with you and every member of your family. My acknowledgement will not be complete if I fail to appreciate the special individuals who stood by me during my trying period. The former governor of Ondo State, His Excellency Dr. Agagu and his wife, Busola Agagu and Pastor Femi Agagu, Chief late Ali Olanusi and Mrs. Ali Olanusi, Honorable Gbenga Elegbeleye, Alhaji Sarumi Akin Abinu Omo, Okereji, Dr. and Mrs. Omotayo Dairo, my àbúrò Fẹ́mi Musa, Honorable Olabitan, Shibeli Aromolashe, Senator Jide Ipinsagba, and forever grateful to you for wiping away my tears, for being my safe haven and beacons of light. I must also, to my God-given precious precious children. My sons and daughters-in-law, Dr. Dayo Badejo, Mrs. Taiwo Olugbemi, Mr. Milade Olugbemi, Tony Olugbemi, and Mr. Shubimi Olugbemi. I want to thank you for being my great and inspiration. Your love, and heart are brighten every day and motivate me to work better. I'm grateful for the services, sacrifices we have made together. I am proud of your wisdom and excellent spirit. I thank God for the kind and talented individual I've grown up to become. This my attainment today is not just mine, but yours too, as you have been my driving force at all times. I love you and all my grandchildren. Adefe, Boluwatife, Natasha, Star, Nathan, Wanda, and Oladmidi Kukupo, words can express. Thank you for being my everything. I also appreciate all my in-laws, all of them, the Akilo, the Badejo, the Banjo Ogubiyi, the Adele, Prince Adelanke Ajetomobi, the latest ASP Benjamin Omoruyi family, and Mr. Kumi Olatubosun family of Ibadan. You have all contributed to my peace of mind. Thank you. To my late darling beloved husband, Professor Stephen Oluwale Olugbemi, my caring and my forever love, my constant assurance, your constant assurance that I love you more than your father does, even though you are the apple of your father's eyes. I am your brother, your friend, and your husband. Remain engraved in my heart. You are my guiding light, mentor, counselor, and guardian. Your absence leaves a void in my life, which nobody can fill, and I miss you every day. However, I find solace in the remarkable legacy you left behind, the good name and the values, and the Christian foundation you instill in our children. Your devotion to Christ before your demise has given me peace, comfort, and happiness. Thank you for being my everything. Rest in perfect peace, my darling love. Ọmọ kàkàfíàlà, ẹkùnsún ọ̀rọ̀rọ̀, òkú ẹrú bí ọyẹ́, òtútù bí ìlẹ̀kẹ̀. Keep on resting till we meet again. Mr. Vice Chancellor, sir, permit me to end this inaugural lecture with this song. Rise, Jesus is mine. Oh, what a foretaste of glory divine. Dear Lord, salvation, oh God, of His
Thank you so much. You can do better for her, please. Thank you. Our anticipations have been met and understandings have been provided in nation building using culture, gender, and of course the other part of it as bait for this lecture. Thank you so much, Professor Kikelomo Olugbemi, for that presentation. Please let's put our hands together for her. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's time to invite the Vice Chancellor, Professor Olugbemi, for his closing remarks. Please put your hands together for him as he comes up here.
Thank you, greatest Nigerian students. Ladies and gentlemen, HOD International. I do not expect anything less than what she has delivered. She's very passionate when it comes to gender issues. And she has demonstrated that here this afternoon. Let me thank Professor Kikelomo Olugbemi once again for all her contributions to the development of this university. I have known her ever since she got to this university in 2001 as a graduate assistant, up until became a professor in 2021. She has demonstrated a single conduct and characteristics, and that is diligence. In all her activities. Give Professor Mrs. Olugbemi an assignment. You don't need to remind her again. If you like, you can go and sleep. When she comes back, she gives you very, very positive results. That is the kind of person she is. In this university, there is no committee that we want to constitute, except if we don't want to overload her with assignments. Professor Mrs. Olugbemi will be a member of such committee. Let me thank you. Many people do not know why I call her HOD International. You have seen it today now. Is she not actually international? So, Professor Mrs. Olugbemi, I thank you. God will continue to perfect your ways. That's your last song. I thought you would say IGE 2017. Because I was the first person to render that rendition here when I delivered my inaugural lecture in 2017. So after that song, Blessed Assurance, She ought to have said IGE 2017. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank all of you that have attended this inaugural lecture. We are happy. Full house. That shows the caliber of the inaugural lecturer. Full house. Patience from everybody. I want to thank you. High Chief Lawa, who is representing the Olubaka of Okaland. Thank you, sir, for coming. Thank you. Oba Adesunloye Oyolola Olishua of Ishua Koko. Thank you, Kabesi, for coming. Thank you. Otumba Dele Olapeju Ashiwaju of Idoani. Thank you so much for coming. Please, let's appreciate them. Let's appreciate them. Owani Cultural Heritage Group. Owani. Are they here? Yes, please. Thanks for coming. Engineer Dr. Kadiri Kamoru, Rector, Federal Polytechnic, Offa. Thank you, thank you, Doc. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. Right Reverend J.O. Bada, that's my bishop. Bishop of Akoko Diocese. Baba, you are welcome, sir. Thank you, Baba, for coming. Our regards to Mama when you get home, sir. Dr. Mary Adigun from the University of Medical Sciences. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Mrs. Mojisola Aribo, FCIB. Okay, thank you, ma. Thank you. Mrs. Aribo, the same Mrs. Aribo. Thank you. Our regards to the commissioner. Chief Bailey Arohunmo Lashe. Chief Bailey Arohunmo Lashe. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Evangelist Dr. Aliyu. Evangelist Dr. Aliyu. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Pastor Dr. Daniel Olukoya. Pastor Dr. Daniel Olukoya. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Pastor IAA. Or is it TAA? Either TAA or IAA. Thank you for coming. Pastor SOA Abiara. Abiala. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming, sir. Abiala. Thank you. Venerable Oyediran Olusegun. Venerable Oyed. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. And Venerable Doctor J.O. Adeleke. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Mr. Olumide Abudu, representing Senator Jide Ipinshagba. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Let me especially recognize the family of the inaugural lecturer, from Dr. Bolarinwa Olugbemi, who is the head of the family. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking care of Mama up till now. Mrs. Tayo Olugbemi, wife of the head of the family. Thank you, ma. Thank you. Mrs. Bola Badejo, daughter. All right. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. A.E. Badejo, son-in-law. Thank you. Thank you very much. Mrs. Temi Olugbemi, daughter-in-law. Okay, not here. All right, thank you. Mr. Oladipo Olugbemi, son. Thank you for coming. Thank you. Mrs. Taiwo Olugbemi, daughter-in-law. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Mr. Oluwaseun Olugbemi, son. Thank you. Thank you. Mrs. Toyin Olugbemi, daughter-in-law. Thank you. You are carrying a newly born baby. What is the name? Not yet. Inaugural baby. From all indications, that baby will become a professor. Mr. and Mrs. Adegoke, daughter and son-in-law, thank you for coming. Yes, thank you for coming. And all grandchildren. Also appreciate all our members of family from Idoani, from Ishua, from, where is the other one? Idoani, Ishua, and, okay, the two. And Akure, we appreciate all of you for coming. Let me thank our professors, former Deputy Vice Chancellor, academic, Professor Adibo Wali. Your name has become a recurring decimal. Yes, in rendering assistance to all our inaugural lecturers. Thank you so much, ma. In spite of your schedule, you still find time to look at all of these manuscripts and assist them. Thank you, thank you. I remembered you also did a lot of work in 2017 when I was also delivering my own. Thank you so much, ma. Professor Oebade, former Deputy Vice Chancellor, Administration, thank you, sir. Thank you for always being there for us. Thank you very much. The Omoniyi are sitting together. Why? Today, Professor MBI, Omoniyi, and Omoba Omoniyi, the two of them are sitting together. Thank you for coming. The Director of Academic Planning, thank you. Professor Benson, thank you for coming from all the way from Ogomosho to witness this. Thank you so, so much. Chief Mrs., I recognize you. You are also welcome. Thank you for coming. Bobola, yes, you are here today. I recognize you. Thank you all. The Director, GST, yes, you are welcome. Professor Loni Shakin, another professor of history, is also here. Professor Afe is also a professor of history. He's also here with us. HOD Philosophy, Dr. Taiwo. Mommy, Professor Akin Folarin, she delivered her inaugural lecture some few months back. Yeah, former Dean of Law, Professor Oke, thank you for coming. The Head of Department of Nursing Sciences, Dr. Mrs. Adisa, thank you for coming, ma. Dr. Wolewa, former Dean Student Affairs, thank you. Thank you. That's Mohammed. I've not seen you for a very long time. So I hope you are doing well. Mohammed, Department of Air Sciences. Thank you. Professor Obaje, Department of Air Sciences. Thank you very much. HOD Accounting, thank you. Professor Akinrule of Education, thank you. Professor Karim, thank you. The HOD Food Science and Technology, Professor Fagbemi. The newly appointed Professor of Microbiology, Professor Yemisi Jeff, thank you for coming. That's HOD Microbiology, Adegbengbe, thank you for coming. Professor Mrs. Olajubutu, thank you, ma. Guidance and Counseling. Professor Yetakin, your inaugural lecture is June 17. Thank you. Yes. Professor Alabi, thank you. Professor Ihimoyon, thank you. Dr. Lai, thank you. HOD Chemical. Professor Ashogbon, thank you very much. Professor of Philosophy, thank you very much. Professor Ajidaun, Professor of Guidance and Counseling, thank you very, very much. The next person, that's Oyetaki Ayeni, all right, Professor of Educational Management, thank you. HOD Cyber Security, Dr. Akinwumi, thank you very much. Professor Ajidaun, I cite you, thank you so much for coming. Professor Odedeyi, thank you, HOD Environmental Biology. Professor Awoni of RAC, Religion and African Culture. The next person is the next inaugural lecturer. Laleye Philosophy. His inaugural lecture is June 3rd, 2020. 2025. Professor Ogunleye of Religion and African Culture, HOD, Dr. Monto Imbo of Arts Education, Laleye Philosophy again of Education, Professor Mrs. Ayimoro, Folami of Criminology, yes, and Faboyede, HOD History, Professor Edo, another Professor of History. We thank you all. That's Professor Mrs. From Education. Professor Mrs. Ogunsomi from Education. Thank you so much. The last but one inaugural lecturer. Is that it? All right. Please, we welcome you. And that's HOD Geography. Is that HOD Geography? Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you for coming. And then HOD Earth Sciences. Ogunribido. Thank you. Professor Adegboro, HOD Kinetics. Thank you, and thank you. That's Mrs. Bamingbola. Is that Dr. Ari? Mrs. Bamingbola, yes, HOD English. And then Mrs. Arowo Shegbe, HOD where? Linguistics. I thank you all for coming, and we appreciate all of you. The next inaugural lecture is June 3rd, 2025. And we expect all of us to be here present. Thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are home and dry as far as this lecture is concerned. At this juncture, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, we will take the national and AAU anthems in reverse order while we wait for the Vice Chancellor's procession to leave this auditorium in reverse order. Boys Brigade, please.
Every